All right, so I did my final check. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna go on to the pinhole portion. Now, what's important to keep in mind when you're doing a pinhole is what side you want to do your pinhole on, because this is gonna determine your focal length, which essentially is going to determine the size of your pinhole or the aperture in which your photo is going to be able to be focused. So this is a big part of it. So what I want to do for mine, and what if you're doing a box, you can pick the long side, and let's just pretend this is a box, or I'll just use this. All right, so if you're doing a box, you could do this to this, but that's going to have a very it's going to have a very different pinhole size if you were to do maybe this side and this side, which you would never use a container like this because this is too small, unless you want really thin strips of photos. But that's your preference, which is also what's great about pinhole cameras, is you do have a lot of control. So I decided that it would be cool to have round photos. So this is going to be where my photo paper is. So that means that my pinhole is going to be on the top here. So I am going to go ahead and cut a square into the top of my pinhole, which is kind of obnoxious because now I have a lot of tape. So what you want to do here is maybe use an X-Acto knife. Now if you use an X-Acto knife, make sure that you have a cutting mat so you don't damage underneath. What can also work is the back of a notebook or something that you don't mind getting cut into. Like if you're at home, you can use a cutting board. Anything like that that can help you not damage any surfaces. I don't have an X-Acto knife, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a pair of scissors that have a lot of duct tape on them. Preferably your scissors should be without duct tape. But what I'm gonna do, because this lid is plastic and bendy, I'm going to go ahead and just snip right into it. It might take a bit of effort, more effort than if I had an X-Acto knife, but we're making do with what we got. So I will come back when I have cut the hole in this. For boxes and cardboard, it's fairly easy to use scissors. I do recommend having an X-Acto blade. Scissors do make it kind of difficult, but that's okay though, because we are going to cover it underneath with tin foil. So the size doesn't matter. You could do a giant one. You could do a really small one. It just depends on what tools you have access to, but it does not limit what you can do. I do also want to mention, if you are doing a tin can and you decide to cut into maybe the side of the tin can, that you have either something that can cut through metal. I typically don't like tin cans, but they're really cool. Another thing you can do is a soda can, which are easier to cut through, but it all depends on what you would like. I just want to show you, in case you have a plastic lid as well, that I did fold it this way and then I cut into it and made incisions, and I'm going to fold it the opposite way and do the same thing. Oops. Yeah, this way, sorry. And we're just going to cut into it here. Also, remember, practice scissor safety. This isn't very safe of me, but I am an adult, so if you do need help with this, just remember to stay cautious and not cut your fingers or your hands, because that is entirely plausible. Now that I've been able to get a little wiggle room in there, I'm just showing you. This is also possible for cardboard. However, it's not as pliable, or it doesn't bounce back as well as plastic does. But again, it's whatever your container choose, just adapt and work with what you got. All right, so there we go. There's that perfect square for my pinhole. Woo. Okay, so now we're going to figure out our focal length, because I know that I want my photo paper to be down there and my pinhole is on the top. I'm gonna measure the inside, how deep you're gonna need a ruler, how deep my container is, and either you can do in inches or in millimeters or centimeters. So I don't know, because we're going to use a website called Mr. Pinhole that helps us determine how big our pinhole needs to be. It does offer 2 ways of typing in your number to get the diameter of your pinhole. And that is in inches or millimeters. I'm going to use inches because it is a little easier for me to understand. You can choose millimeters if you like, but I have a little notepad next to me so I can write it down so I don't forget. So I'm just going to measure from here to here, and it looks like it's about 5.1 inches. So I'm going to type that in, I'm going to write that down. It's 5.1 inches so that I remember.